This season of Moments with Nderru podcast is powered by workspaceglobal.com, branding made easy. Hey, welcome to season 7 of Moments with Nderru podcast, an award winning podcast that aims to inspire, encourage, and uplift you. Thank you so much for those who voted for this podcast and getting it to the top spot in the recent awards titled Content Creators Awards. I am truly grateful from the bottom of my heart. For those who are tuning in for the first time, thank you so much. For those who have been from day one on this adventure, thank you too. So with that said, let's dive into the show. Today I'm joined by Alexis. And she is born and raised in Kenya, but she finds herself in Australia studying her Masters of Business, student in Monash University. She began her LinkedIn journey in 2023 in pursuit of growing her network, and she fell in love with personal branding. She's passionate about leadership, mentoring other young people, and advocacy of women and youth. She's a motivational speaker and is often invited to speak at panels, podcasts, workshops on topics ranging from mental health to LinkedIn personal branding masterclasses. And also, why I asked her to join this conversation is because she uses her voice so boldly and courageously on LinkedIn. And I found that very endearing. So let's welcome Alexis onto this show.
Thank you. Oh, that was an amazing introduction. Sometimes you hear people introducing yourself and you're like, "Wow, is that me?" So, thank you so much. Yes, I'm actually in Australia right now. I came here 7 months ago. I'm studying my Master's of Business Administration. I was doing marketing as well. I have actually changed my course like about 3 times because a part of me was like, is this really what I want to do? Do I want to engage in this or that? Like a part of me was still like unclear about what I really wanted, but I knew it had to be on business. I knew I wanted to do my master's and I knew I wanted to get away from home. I think when you have so many opinions and voices coming to you, it's like you can't really make a decision. So I decided, you know what, why not? Let me move to a different country and start afresh. And it has been the best experience so far. Challenging, but the best experience so far. Yeah.
You know, what I hear in your voice is someone who's able to take a leap of faith and step out of your comfort zone. And at times we find ourselves holding back because we don't want to step into those spaces that are uncomfortable, that leave us uncertain. So, how are you able to find the courage within yourself to say, you know what, I'm going to a new country,
Mhm.
far away from home, and starting something
Yeah.
new?
Oh, wow. You know what? I actually think that my life became too comfortable. I knew exactly what was going to happen, how it was going to happen, like day and night, and it was nothing challenging, especially since in Kenya I was lucky and fortunate enough to have like a father who has like different networks, and he was able to like get me a job and get me a space. And for me, like, and that's amazing. Nepotism sometimes shouldn't always be looked in a, in a negative light, but for me a part of it was like, okay, I know this has happened, but what if I could find it on my own? What if I could actually go on my own path? What if I could actually go my own way and try and get something for myself? Because I wanted that autonomy, that way of thinking to myself, you know what, I did this, I pushed myself enough, I was resilient enough to overcome the failures, the setbacks, everything that pushed me away. Because even in Kenya, it's not very easy to like get a job. For me personally, it wasn't easy to find a job by myself, and I was like, is this how it's going to be forever? Am I going to be in this state of complete unemployment? Because I know some friends of mine who are in Kenya who are also struggling, and I was just it made me really sad to see that there wasn't enough opportunities. So I decided, you know what? I'm going to test myself, and I'm going to, if you can't, if opportunity doesn't knock, build a revolving door. Like, have a way that you're able to actually create the opportunities for yourself. So yeah, that's how I actually gained that confidence and momentum. Yeah.
Kudos to you, because I remember my younger self where you're just like, let me just play it safe. It's okay to be comfortable. I can figure other things, further along the way. And
Mhm.
unfortunately for me, at my early 20s, I lost my mom. And it was one of those moments that really threw me off track, brought a lot of trauma and pain and uncertainty. And one of the
Mhm.
things that I recognize is young people, regardless of their circumstances, go through difficulties and struggles and moments, as you've mentioned, unemployment, and they're wondering, how do I move forward with life? So, how would you encourage someone who's listening to this conversation and just tell them it's okay to try and do something new, even if it's outside of what you studied, even if it's outside of your network? What would you tell them?
So funny that you should mention that. I literally had a talk about this. As I was telling you, we had a speaker who came and spoke to us about resilience and how sometimes, how to create diamonds, you need a bit of pressure. And that's something that as cliche as it is, I think it stands true for everything. Like, because you will be pushed down, you'll be rejected. I don't know how many times honestly have been rejected. Like, you're just seeing this girl, she's happy, like, so many. I've been rejected. I've said, people have said no to me. I failed so many times and in so many things, and I just had to tell myself, okay, what maybe we should have a different strategy. What next is there for me? So I'm always thinking of, there's always a solution, there's always a better way that it can go. And of course, it's good to acknowledge where you are in that moment, because I'm not telling you to completely, like, block your emotions, block the feelings that you have in that moment that you failed. I think, even I'm gonna use a celebrity, even Beyonce. I think she said, cry for one day, cry that day, eat yourself out, like, just sleep, like, sleep, and don't think about anything else. But the next day, wake up and keep moving forward, because that's part of life, having to keep moving forward, because like, the time won't stop for you. And as much as that was a bitter pill that we have to swallow sometimes, no one is gonna stop for you, time won't stop for you, everything will keep going. So are you going to be left behind, or are you going to keep moving with the momentum, with the flow? And it's all about, like, having that. Sorry, I don't think I've ever had any success story where there was no setback. Literally, I think it was Jeff Bezos who had, before his company started making profit, it was 14 years before that. So can you, like, even the richest, I don't know if it's the richest man anymore right now. There's so many fights between all those white men who are fighting for the top position. But yes, there's never a story where everything was just smooth sailing. So yeah, that's something that I really love to
I
remember.
like that, because we all need resilience, and it's something that we shy away from, but it is very necessary to build our strength, to build our capacity, so that we are ready for the next step that we want to take. We're ready for the next level that we're seeking to get to. So our theme for this conversation was your voice matters. And when we go through setbacks and challenges, we feel afraid to speak up, because I mean, I'm struggling. Why should I say anything? Why should my opinion matter?
Yeah.
So, how do we gather the strength or the courage to say, you know what? I'm going to speak even though my voice shakes and my voice matters.
That's actually something that I did struggle with, coming here in particular, because I was like, okay, like, what's different about me? I'm just a regular girl who's moving to a different country to study probably a master's and come back. And then, I had to really shift my mindset on it. So I've been doing a lot on, like, self-development. It's like self-help. Like, there's a lot of talk in that space, but even if there's a lot on it, there's something very special about knowing yourself and knowing your value and understanding your worth. Because, like, people feel that way because they don't think they're special. They don't think they have anything to add in society. But just like your fingerprint, you are unique and you have a story that's completely different and that can change lives. Like I think the first person who DM'd me and who said your story literally like saved me. I think I even cried because I was just like, but it wasn't something big that happened. It was just I was saying, you see, even that word just, like I wish I want to even remove that word just, because it when you say just, it's like you're making it smaller, but then actually improving someone's life and changing how they look at the world is something that is so precious, and we don't talk about it much. Like we don't know how much we can help others just by sharing what we've gone through, because at the end of the day we're all the same. It doesn't matter how we look, it doesn't matter how we sound. We all have something incredible to share, and I would love, like whoever is here, I know they have their story, and I'm so grateful that you guys are here, like listening to mine. Like for me, sometimes I'm just like, do I, like, it's still that the back of my mind, which is why I really try, I really practice every day to be grateful for everything that happens in my life. I have affirmations and I do meditate on these things, because sometimes the world can really like go down on you, and you feel low in that aspect, and you feel like there's nothing special about me. But like, trust me, as you keep moving on with life, you'll realize you have so much more in like your space, that like I don't even know how to describe it. Like you have to start to actually see how much you can change another person's life. Yeah.
So powerful. If we could just go back a little bit, you've mentioned that you shared a story and someone DM'd you with the
Yes.
feedback that they gave you. Are you able to share
Yeah.
that particular story?
Yes. So I think it was on one of my posts. I think it was on the first post where I talked about my birthday. So I shared how I was born like without a voice, because I didn't cry at first. Like I was one of those babies. I was quiet. I didn't come in kicking and screaming. I came very calm. I wasn't crying, and I think if it had been about like 5 seconds more, I would have died. Like I wouldn't be here. And someone came to me, and they also told me about their story where they had selective mutism. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that. It's something psychological whereby some people aren't able to speak. Like it's more of a psychological effect. But when it was portraying in that aspect of having a voice right now, she was just like, I've been feeling afraid to actually speak up, to even say anything. Like that's why I'm even like, I wouldn't be able to have a proper even conversation with you. But then when you gave shared that story, like it made me want to be able to talk more and be able to actually communicate with others, like what I've been going through, what I've been dealing with. Because she said that it made her realize that she has the capability. I can't remember. I'd have to go back to the message, but it was so beautiful. I was just like, I didn't even know about selective mutism. I didn't know that was a factor in anything. So it's about like empowering the people who don't feel like they can, or like that they have a voice, that it doesn't matter where you come from or where you start from. Like you'll always grow, you'll always learn. And now she's able to even speak and actually talk to people and tell them what she's feeling. And wow, like I wish one day I will talk about her maybe, but that was amazing.
It's so amazing how, as you've said, our stories are so powerful that we
Yeah.
don't recognize how they can change someone's life in the moment, because we're caught up in our thoughts. What do people think? Maybe people are going to judge me, or my journey is different from others. And I remember also in my early 20s, because of the trauma that I was going through, and you start, obviously, you grow older and you wonder, do I really need to share my story? Will it really help someone? And that's one of the reasons why I started this podcast. During the pandemic, everyone was in their corners wondering if the world is going to end, and lots of people are in despair. And I just thought it was important to inspire people, to uplift them with different conversations with people around the world. And one of the things that I've recognized is that young voices sometimes get stifled in this array of different voices in the world. So, how
Mhm.
do you make sure that your voice stays authentic in this LinkedIn space or social media space and that you stay true to who you are?
Oh, wow, that is a very good question because it's so easy to get lost in the mark and just start posting things like, oh, I got this many followers at this time. I got like, it's very easy to get into that space, especially it's called vanity metrics. And I think I'm going to go back to what I said about getting to really know yourself, getting to know your likes, your dislikes, what actually makes you, what actually empowers you, what motivates you, what lights up a fire in you, like that self work is not easy. I call it soul work because we're each individuation of a soul. I call it soul work because each and every one of us has that in us to like really get to know ourselves because as I said we're different, and I think it can be so scary to go away from the crowd because what if what if no one agrees with me, what if people, yeah, what if what I say is very controversial and I'm just like, yes, do it, that is the best thing, like do it because it's controversial, do it because people don't agree with you. We want to hear different voices. Sometimes I go on LinkedIn and I'm just like, okay, it's the same story every time, and I'm just like, give us your voice, tell us something about you. You don't have to always it can be educational and that's fantastic, but then tell us about a time where it happened to you. Like we want to genuinely know how you overcame it, and if, even how you're asking me, it's like amazing because for me I'm just like, yes, that's what we have to do. We have to think about how it's actually changed our lives in ourselves. And I think one of the things that really helped me to stay authentic is to ask myself, is this the highest way that I would respond? So there's a book I read called Conversations with God by Neil Donald Walsh. It's nothing religious, but then it says that the purpose of life is to create yourself anew in every golden moment of the now. So you don't even have to think about like what's my complete purpose, but then think about like in this moment right now, what's the best and highest version of me, and like act in accordance with that. So that's something that I ask myself on a daily basis. It might be difficult to ask, but I think if everyone just writes it down, like what's the highest, what would the highest version of me choose today? And that's where my most authentic voice always comes from. Yeah.
That is such a powerful question. What would my highest version of myself want to do today?
Yes.
And then comes in the smaller version of yourself that says,
Mhm.
what are you trying to do? Please, just stay lower, stay lower. With that note, what challenge have you faced recently, if you're able to share, where your voice was truly
Mhm.
challenged, where you've wondered, will I be able to speak up and truly share what's on my heart or my mind?
Oh, wow. So, yes, I'm actually in an entrepreneurship program called Fast Track, and you're placed in a team of three. Of course, you get to choose your team. So the idea that we had was not something that I was really passionate about. It
Okay.
wasn't something that I wanted to continue with, but since the other team members had agreed, we were just going with it. And like I really, really, really thought to myself, like, should I say something? Should I say that it's not be okay? And it wasn't even just about like it being passionate. I felt like it was too niched and it wasn't something that would help as many people. It would help, yes, that specific group of people, but then I wanted something that would help like a broader group. And it doesn't like, and I feel like it doesn't matter. You can help one person, you can help a million people, but then once you also have that fire within you to keep like going with the idea, like it just helps so much. And I kept quiet for a bit because I was like, okay, since they are also passionate about it, I don't want to say that it's not a good idea or it's something that we should change. But then what I did is I asked questions. I decided, you know what, let's ask the big questions like, can this actually work? Can this in different ways that like that it actually came to the conclusion of, oh wow, we do need to go bigger. So that's something that I would encourage others. Like if you actually want to speak up on certain things. Probably ask question that like that's something that's really worked for me. Ask questions. It's like when Socrates said, all that I know is that I know nothing. So like when someone is speaking on something, ask them that question. Even if you're afraid to actually really like just say what's on your mind, like okay, I don't like this idea. Ask the questions. Ask the questions that are qualitative and that will actually get to the root. It's like the five whys. So why should we do that? Like why? Oh, that it's phenomenal. It works all the time, and you're able to actually get to the root of the problem. And it's yeah, that's how it helps me speak up more. Yeah, asking the right questions. Mm.
Yes, asking the right questions is very important and scary because when you ask, you will always get an answer, whether you want that answer or not. But it's important that we ask questions because then we can figure out if we're headed in the right direction or not, so that we can pivot, learn from the mistakes that we need to learn from, or just embrace the moment of failure and just recognize that everything is solvable, and just reminds us that we're moving forward if we choose to move forward. And at
Yes.
times when we get challenged or we face challenges, we find ourselves getting stuck.
Hmm.
How have you been able to navigate those moments where you almost get stuck, but you figure out a way to come out? And then when you look
Yeah.
back, you're like, yes, I made the right choice by maybe asking the right question or asking yourself to believe in yourself. Share one of those moments.
Yeah, yeah. Oh my gosh. Actually, making decisions has been one of the biggest things that's happened since moving to Australia. Because usually what I would do is I would also ask like people who I believe know better. Let's say my parents, let's say mentors. If I was to make like a very big decision, I would always ask other people. The only problem that you'll find sometimes is that people can be biased and they can give you very subjective answers. So it's like, how do I choose for myself? How do I know like what's best for me in this moment?
So,
For me,
and
I do my method of cancellation by having I write down what I want and then I give it a pros and cons list. So once I go into the first bit, let's say entrepreneurship and innovation pros and cons, marketing pros and cons, and let's say something like international business pros and cons, and it's always to what I want to do, or what are my goals. So if there's an aspect that has more pros and it is aligned more to the goals that I want to achieve, then I will go for it. Oh, thanks for asking.
so
Yeah.
now that you're doing the MBA with a focus in marketing, where do you see yourself in the next 5 to 10 years?
Oh, wow. So a part of me doesn't like seeing it in terms of like that, like in like 5 to 10 years. I I always just say I know that I know that in 5 years, I do want to be like um, my own boss, 100%. And even saying 5 to 10 years for me, like I don't know why. I know it's great to set like long-term goals and everything, but I'm more of a like quarterly goal person. Like this, and it can be different for everyone. Like that's completely fine. Because for me, what I've realized is that when I said those, let's say I was supposed to be married last year, by the way. Once I set those goals, yeah.
We will
I said,
circle
yeah.
back to that. Okay, yeah. Oh, continue.
But yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's say when I was 18, I made like a 5-year plan. I was so sure about it.
Yes.
I was going to be married. I think I wanted to work for an NGO, and actually I wanted to work for the African Union. I think Jose Maria is with me and he was in my bachelor's. And then I don't know, I think as I grew, my mindset changed. I was exposed to different things. My likes and dislikes changed. So even like the marriage, I'm not married right now. I didn't ha and I'm just like I'm glad I kind of didn't stick to some of the goals that I'd set. So for me,
Yes.
I do maybe 3-year goals. I don't take it. like so far, because I know for myself that things change and I'm exposed to different things and I grow and I learn. So it's I pivot a lot on the goals, and that's why I decide to stick more on like a 3-year goal plan with quarterly goals inside. I think that's for me that really really helps narrow it down, and it helps me get to it immediately, because sometimes when I think of setting a too like of it's too much of a long-term goal, I'll be like, oh, it's so long, like it's so far, I don't have to start with it right now. But if it's a quarterly goal, it's something that I want to achieve in this quarter, oh my, I will push, I will make sure it happens to the best of my ability. That's what's worked for me. Maybe it's different for the people in this call, but that's something that's worked for me, yeah, as I've gone on with my life.
I tell you, when we make plans, they say God laughs at us and says, let me show you. Let me show you how I'm going to shock you.
Exactly.
But I
Yes.
think it's also important that it's okay if our plans don't go as we had hoped, because in that process, we are being built, we are becoming more resilient. We're learning
Yes.
that actually things won't always go our way. And
Mhm.
it's something that I know it's hard to embrace, but it's
Yeah.
necessary so that we become more compassionate individuals, that we become more kinder, more focused, more understanding. Because if we always get what we want when we
Yeah.
want,
Mhm.
we tend to look at people who aren't getting their way lesser than, and that's not the way we should be living our lives. We all have different journeys. We all have different circumstances. So
Mhm.
for whoever is listening and whoever is on this call, it's important to recognize if your plans don't work out, you're not a failure. But if you choose to say that I am a failure, then yes, you're a failure. It all comes down to mindset and your attitude. Just as Alexis has said, just pivot, find ways where you can adjust, find ways of trying to do something new. Yes, it will be difficult, but it all comes down to your mindset and to your attitude. What are you saying about yourself, and what are you saying to yourself? So, with that in mind, let's switch gears a little bit and let's play a game called This or That. Okay?
Yes,
Don't
I
overthink
love
it.
games.
You love games. So,
I
the
do.
first one is friends or family.
Oh, friends.
It's okay. Friends, it is. The next one is movies or TV shows.
Movies.
I like that. The next one was still going on text or call.
Call. I actually prefer calls a lot.
Oh, dear me. To give or to receive.
Wow. In my stage of life, to give.
Nice. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Facebook or Instagram, or is it
Instagram.
TikTok?
I mean, TikTok is much better than everything else. So yeah, I mean, I'm sorry, LinkedIn is much better than everything else, but sure, we can go Instagram.
We'll go with what you've chosen. LinkedIn. Cats or dogs?
Dogs.
Summer or winter?
Summer or a nice autumn, but summer.
Love or money?
Love. Ooh, yes.
And the last one, black or white?
Black, 100%. Look at what I'm wearing.
Yeah, I was just about to say,
Not a
you
question.
have the memo.
Yes, I understood the assignment.
Yes. Oh
Yes.
dear me. So I have one last request as we end this conversation. If someone was seated across you right now
Mm,
and they were wondering what's the one thing that they should know, like the best
mhm.
piece of advice that you would give them, what would you tell
Yeah.
them?
Oh, wow. The best piece of advice that I would give them, it would be to embrace the unknown, to embrace uncertainty. Because I think a lot of us like predictability. And that's something that I also used to like. I loved, like, even a part of me, like, coming to a master's degree was like loving the certainty of being in school, having a structure, but then it's just embracing that, like, you don't know what's gonna happen next, and you can learn and grow so much from uncertain moments, from moments where you don't know how it's going to happen, you don't know if you're going to be successful. Even starting, like what I was saying, the entrepreneurship program, starting a business, like, is not easy, and it's that level of unknown that has really shaped me into the woman that I am today, because I know that I don't know everything. I know that I'm still learning and I'm still growing. So embracing that aspect of life, that it's a game. You don't know what's going to happen next. So let's play, let's have fun with it, and let's bring each other up while we're at it. So that's what I'll tell the person
I
at
like
the end.
it. I like
Yeah,
it. Thank you so
thank you.
much, Alexis, for taking the time to be on this conversation. I truly appreciate you.
Yes, and thank you for having me. Oh my
Awesome.
God.
So,
Awesome.
with that said, I hope you'll take one or two things from this conversation. For me, it's resilience will get us ahead, embrace the unknown, and rejection is part of the game. So, until the
Yes.
next episode, continue being brave.